Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports. Friday, December 19th. Getting into the Christmas week. It's come up fast. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on here. NFL starts Saturday games, so we're going to have to talk about those. There are 2 games in the NFL tomorrow. Probably have to be back tonight to do a college basketball show, unless there's not a lot of it tomorrow. I have not looked at all. There's not much going on today. Yesterday was a winning day on the show. If you bet the way that I bet, it went 3-3, but we actually got over the threshold. Small win just because of the New Orleans Pelicans winning outright. So if you do what I do and you put 30% of that bet on the money line, or not 30, 10%, excuse me. I'm so out of it today. 10% of the bet on the money line. Then, yeah, that's what got over the threshold there. Louisiana was a win in college basketball. That number was up to 13.5, but they lost by like 8. It was an extremely ugly, low-scoring game. I'm like looking at the score, and it was like 25-19, and I'm thinking, all right, like probably halfway through the first half, and I'm like, wait, we're like 4 minutes into the second half. It's 25-19. I'm like, all right, that's a good sign, I guess, that neither team is scoring, which was part of the handicap. We lost in the Columbus BJs. They suck, pun intended. I don't know what else to say about that. That was a loss. At least they were an underdog. We got the win with the New York Rangers in the other hockey game, thankfully, because they were the favorite, and it took overtime to get it done. That was, as I said, I thought that was going to be a low-scoring game, man. As I said, to me, that's how it read. Maybe I should just be betting hockey totals, because my reads seemed to be all right on those. It was a 1-1 game, and the Rangers scored in overtime to win the game, so we did get that one. Basketball, NBA, I don't know. Maybe I should have still gone with the Pacers. They covered. They almost won the game outright. That was close to making my card. I think Orlando probably covered as well, right? I haven't looked. Let me look real quick. Did they? No. Orlando lost and did not. I think they did not cover, so never mind on that one. That one almost made my card as well. And then the fade of the Thunder would not have worked out. And that Thunder team, man, I mean, they just bounce back like nothing. They win at home. I mean, they're absolutely dominant. I don't know who's going to beat them, if anybody. But we went 1-1 in our plays. The Wizards were kind of hanging around within that number and then fell flat. They lost by probably 20-something. The Pelicans came back. The Pelicans were getting blown out. The Pelicans were down by, I think, at least 20 points in the middle of that game. They came back and they won the game outright against Houston in overtime. So we got that win with the Pelicans. Yeah, actually, dude, I'm such an idiot. Why am I not wearing? I have a Zion Pelicans jersey. Why am I not wearing that right now? I don't know. I'm an idiot. I should be wearing it. Missed opportunity. And this is what I can say about the Thursday night game. Missing that game by a half point because I never saw anything better than 1.5. The money line was like minus 125. I'm like, just lay the 1.5. Like, what are the odds that Seattle wins by 1? Oh, well, when it goes into overtime and the other team gets the ball first, the odds just went way up because it's a 10-minute overtime and you're probably not going to get another possession. If you're the second team that gets the ball, you're not going to tie it and let the other team beat you with a field goal. You basically have to go for 2 at that point. So at that point, I'm like, oh my God, it is going to be a 1-point game. But I will say the Rams dominated that game. Like, I can't believe that they lost that game. And I'm even more fucking pissed because I spent all this time and energy to be in first place, get the first round bye in my fantasy league. What happens? During my bye, I lose the number 2 fantasy quarterback in the NFL, Mahomes. He's gone. So now I have a mishmash of bad quarterbacks that I'm going to have to use. And Jonathan Taylor lost his quarterback, number 1 fantasy player. He's on my team, but he doesn't have a quarterback now. So I have no idea what we're going to get out of him this week. And I'm up against my opponent had Puka Nacua last night. He had like 40 fucking points. What am I supposed to do when my opponent has 40 points from one wide receiver position? Are you fucking kidding me? It was like the biggest wide receiver score of the season in a single game by any receiver. And Nacua is a moron because he apologized for doing that dance that was supposedly anti-Semitic just because he was rubbing his hands. He comes out and apologizes. What a bitch. Fuck Nacua. I hate that guy. I hate him for so many reasons right now. Fuck you. Fuck all of that. I'm so fucking pissed. We're going to talk about today. I got 2 plays. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out, listening to my rant. College basketball, I don't even know what I'm going to say about college basketball because I just don't have anything on this board today for college basketball. This board is a pass for me. I'm bored by it. There's an 11 a.m. game between Dartmouth and Sacred Heart. This is an awful game. I mean, who's going to watch this game at 11 a.m.? It's competing with the Myrtle Beach Bowl as well, which is probably a better game than this. I don't know what to say about this game other than it's happening. I mean, these teams are both bad. Dartmouth just beat Holy Cross. I mean, not an impressive win there. Holy Cross is bad. A New England battle there. Sacred Heart is also in New England. They're in Florida. They're in Fairfield, Connecticut. I'm so out of it right now. I believe they're in Fairfield, Connecticut. Sacred Heart just had a close game at UMass Lowell. I think UMass Lowell probably, I would guess, was a small favorite in that game, if I remember correctly. So Sacred Heart failed to get that done. I mean, it looks like the initial line move dropped Sacred Heart from 1 to a pick'em, so there was an initial move towards Dartmouth. I got no read on this game at all. Money coming in towards the under. I mean, I probably wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, I think you're looking at 2 really bad teams, so it is potentially going to be an ugly game, and I don't really even get why the total is as high as it is in the mid-150s. I mean, I don't see these teams as offensive juggernauts, although Dartmouth does play fast, apparently, but you wouldn't know it based on their scores. Sacred Heart actually plays kind of a mid-tempo, too, but these offenses are not great. But you're looking at a really bad defense on the Sacred Heart side, so I don't know. I mean, maybe the lean is towards Dartmouth there because Sacred Heart just had a more difficult opponent in their previous game. We have the Chris Paul Black College Tournament, whatever the hell it is, the HBCU thing that's going on in College Park, Georgia. That thing is continuing. Grambling is playing Houston. Houston. I am so out of it today, man. I don't sleep. Hampton. Grambling is playing Hampton. Houston would destroy them. Grambling is coming off an upset win over Norfolk State. It did break a long loss streak for them, so sometimes when a team breaks a long loss streak, that can be a good thing, and it will give them new momentum, but I don't like the spot for Grambling. In fact, if I was going to play any college game today, it would probably be Hampton in this game here. Grambling just pulled off an upset of Norfolk State. Pretty good win for them there. They were I would guess they're about 5-6 point dog in that game. I'd have to go back and look, but they also have to turn around in 4 days and play Ohio State. So that's going to be a big game. The only thing that might keep them grounded here is the fact that they're playing in this tournament thing here. That's like the only thing, because otherwise I see this looking like kind of a sandwich spot. The Grambling is in here. Hampton, they just beat our pals at Jackson State. Not really an impressive win there. I'm assuming Hampton was a favorite in that game. They won by 7. Nothing to really even read into with that. Even though, yeah, Jackson State, as we keep saying, is better than their record looks. But I think the spot's bad for Grambling, so I would lean towards Hampton. You got to lay 1.5 on it, so you're basically just asking them to win the game, even though it's a low total of 137.5. Looks like it's going to be an ugly game in that one. And then we do have some 5 p.m. games as well. South Dakota State at Milwaukee. South Dakota State, they're probably the better of these two teams. They're coming off a loss against Wyoming, where I expected South Dakota State to be more competitive there because that was in Sioux Falls, so it was in South Dakota's territory. Wyoming, not that bad this year, though, so I'm not going to really knock South Dakota State too much for that. But they do also have Arizona up next, although it's not for 10 days, but looks like maybe a little bit of a difficult spot for them here. This is the Milwaukee Hoops Showdown, though, so it is kind of some tournament here, although it's in Milwaukee's. I think it's in their home arena. It's somewhere in Milwaukee at the very least, so it's in their city at the very least. Milwaukee's coming off a loss to Indiana State, which they're not as good of a team now, although they were... Actually, Milwaukee was favored in this game, believe it or not, even though they have the worst record. So, yeah, maybe Milwaukee will bounce back here in this one. That's the way I would lean in this one, Milwaukee. South Dakota State's up from a 1-point favorite to a 1.5-point favorite. I'd probably look towards taking the points there. Milwaukee's also been pretty good at home so far, so except for that last game. But not a whole lot about that. Garrett, what's up, man? Oh no, yeah. I mean, again, yeah. That's why I recommend against parlays, man. I mean, the odds makers don't give you good enough odds on it either because they know that the parlays always look tempting because you're always getting like an underdog price. If you're gonna do it, you got to just resign yourself to knowing that it's almost like a lottery play. Like it's not like a plus expected value play. You just don't get good enough odds on it, and then yeah, one leg missing takes the whole thing down. So yeah. Everything that I do is just straight bets, just straight bet everything. And, you know, maybe weigh each thing a little bit differently. I do not talk boxing. I don't know much about it at all, actually. I've had like a couple of UFC plays that I've given out on the show before, but those are very sparse as well. I've probably only given out 2 or 3 of those. I don't even know if I've ever given out a boxing play on this show. I don't really follow it. Follow it. Oh, man, there's just too much to follow, man. Oh, man. All right. Hold on a minute. I still have my bowl spreadsheet up right now because I'm using that for my Bowl Mania confidence values, which, by the way, that bowl last night, it wasn't even in ESPN's Bowl Mania game. They're just, the Xbox Bowl just doesn't exist. It was kind of a crazy game, though. Missouri State almost came back and won. They were down 31-7, and they only lost by like 6. Which is kind of insane, or maybe it was 8, whatever it was. All right, 5 p.m., we do also have Coppin State at Navy. I mean, Coppin State, very, very bad team. They're going to be a big underdog here. They just got blown out by Radford. Radford, better than people think they are. Navy has been decent at home, but Navy did just win against Air Force, which is a big deal because the service academies, they always get up to play each other, although Navy, I'm assuming, is the better team than Air Force. So maybe not that impressive that they only won by 5. Navy's a 19.5-point favorite here, but the total's really low at 140.5. So, I'm not going to come in and I don't really want to lay points like that with Navy, all right, even though Coppin State is really, really bad. So, I mean, I guess it wouldn't shock me if Navy did win that game by that margin, but it looks like an ugly, low-scoring game to me. I wouldn't do it. These games are all terrible, though, so Rams money line, you went against my play? What? Oh, come on, man. We both lost because, again, I had 1.5 on Seattle, and they won by 1. I'm very pissed about it. Like, they should have just lost by like 2 touchdowns. Like, the Rams should have won that game statistically. They dominated it. So I was wrong on that one. But the fact that a moneyline Seattle play would have cashed, it really, really angers me. Navy's got a good point guard. That's good to know. I don't know. I cannot name anybody on most of these teams, to be honest, which is probably not good. But, yeah, personnel, I'm not good with personnel in these games, man. I just look at scheduling spots and whatever. We do have a Big East matchup on Fox Sports at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. This is a contrast of styles here, man. Seton Hall and Providence. Seton Hall, they play slow. Providence, they play fast. So usually the home team is going to win out with the tempo battle, though. So if Providence is going to speed this thing up, Seton Hall might be in a little bit of trouble if that happens. People are going to look at this and see Providence is 7-5. Seton Hall's 10-1, but Providence is a favorite. So that's going to look strange to the recreational bettors, right? If they're looking for something to bet, Big East game. All right, let's bet this. It looks pretty easy to take the points with Seton Hall, right? It looks way too easy. Even though, actually, I do think they are the better team right now. I think they are having a bit of a resurgence here. The odds makers are telling you there's not that much of a disparity between these two teams. Providence has got to get some home court advantage here. I would lean towards Providence here. I mean, the number it looks like a trap. It looks way too easy to take the points there. Seton Hall, I mean, they still play ugly. They do have a couple of decent wins in here against NC State. They played well against USC, only lost by 2. Beat Kansas State on the road, which was their only true road game so far. So this is not going to be their first true road game, and this is an easier place for them to have to go to because it is a conference opponent where they go every year. But they're also coming off a blowout of Rutgers where they looked really good in their New Jersey rivalry, and that's a pretty satisfying win. Even though Rutgers isn't good, like, I thought Rutgers was going to be more competitive in that game. Those two teams don't like each other. I mean, they're the two big conference teams in New Jersey, and Seton Hall blew them out. So it is possible that Seton Hall maybe, just is a little bit overconfident coming into this one. But I can't get on board with Providence here either. They're coming off that crazy double overtime game at Butler. Butler, I believe, was the favorite in that game. Even though that was 6 days ago, so it probably was worse for Butler having to turn around and play more quickly after that. But that was still a big game for Providence. Butler was a pretty big favorite in that one. Providence almost beat them. Crazy game that went into double OT. So, yeah, I'm not going to jump in on this game at all. I would still lean towards Providence just because the line looks ridiculous. Providence is actually a 1.5-point favorite now, so you're getting more value on them if you do want to play them. I think 1.5 is probably more of an accurate line than 2.5 as well. As Ken Baum has Seton Hall probably about 15 to 20 ranking spots higher than Providence. So he probably has Providence winning that game by around 1 to 2 points. So I do with all that information what you want to, but I'm not touching that game at all. UNC Ohio State. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that on my basketball show. I'm either going to do that show tonight or it'll be part of the morning show tomorrow. I don't know which though. You want me to talk about it today? I mean, I have not looked at it yet. I'm not really prepared for it yet, but I'm going to talk about it on the night show. If I do it tonight, it'll be tonight. Usually I started doing that last week for basketball. I do Saturdays basketball on Friday night. It's a huge college basketball show, usually a huge college basketball slate. So that is probably when I'll talk about it. I mean, right now I haven't looked at it at all, so I'd just be really just in the dark on it until I look at it. I don't know. Some of these other games are just, Akron, I would look towards Akron in this game against Eastern Michigan. Akron, they're coming off what was a barn burner type of game, 115 to 100. But that was, I believe, that game didn't even go into overtime. They actually lost the game, though, to Murray State. And Akron was a favorite in that game, so I kind of expect them to bounce back here. They don't have any big games coming up for a while. They don't start MAC play for a while. So I think Akron will show up in this game and run Eastern Michigan out of the building. I think they're going to be pissed off about that loss. So I would lay it with Akron in this one. Eastern Michigan really not that good, although they are probably going to show up at least because they know Akron's good, so they're going to want to put in a decent effort there. But Akron up from 16.5 to 17 in that one. I would lay it with Akron. Mount St. Mary's is at Drexel. This one I kind of like Drexel to bounce back. They just took an ugly loss to Howard. Drexel was coming off playing their Philadelphia, one of their Philadelphia rivals in LaSalle. So maybe they were in a bit of a hangover after that loss. They didn't play well against Howard. They took the loss in that one. Drexel is still the better team over Mount St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's did just get an easy win over Loyola Maryland. But people are going to also look and see, oh my God, Mount St. Mary's beat Howard. Now they're getting points as an underdog against Drexel, who just lost to Howard. It looks pretty easy to take Mount St. Mary's plus the points here, but I would not do that. I would lay it with Drexel. They're right here, 5-point favorite. 141 is the total there. So I hear sirens out front, so that's awesome. All right. What else do we have going on here? Tulsa, Western Kentucky, kind of interesting. Tulsa's off to a really nice start this season at 10-1 to start the season. Probably not as good as their record looks, though. I mean, they've mostly beat up on bad teams. They have not faced a difficult schedule yet. Coming off a pretty good win over New Mexico State. Don't even know which team was favored in that game. I would have to actually dig into it and look. Western Kentucky is sitting at 7-3, getting a couple of points in this game, but they are undefeated at home. They've been pretty good at home. They're coming off an easy win over some non-Division I teams, so I'd probably be looking towards Western Kentucky in that one. Tulsa looks like they have 67% of tickets and 80% of the cash on them, though, at 2.5. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, looks like they're going to be a public side at the very least because their record just looks better than they actually are. Probably would lean to Western Kentucky there. Yes, true. Greg Biffle. That's crazy, dude. I saw that come out. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, like the plane crash. That's one thing. And then you hear that his family was on the plane as well, and they were probably doing some sort of holiday travel. Never want to hear anything like that. That is awful, dude. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it otherwise. It's like, I don't follow NASCAR that much, but yeah, it's, oh my God. Yeah, holy crap. That was right down the street from you. That is insane, dude. Man. All right, well, if you want me to look at, let me see. I'm going to bring up the schedule right now. I'll tell you what I think about this North Carolina game right now. I'm going to go over it again tomorrow, though. Yeah, North Carolina, you know they're going to be a big favorite here. This is a neutral site game in Atlanta, though. Ohio State just beat West Virginia only by 1. We had West Virginia in that game, by the way. I've played on 3 straight Ohio State games and lost the first 2 of them, so that's great. Ohio State, that was not a good performance against West Virginia, but part of that handicap was they were going to be looking ahead to North Carolina. Then the question is going to be, can they actually hang in this game? North Carolina is coming off a pretty easy game against East Tennessee, so it's not exactly a bad spot for North Carolina here. This is not going to be a game I'm going to be involved in. I can tell you that already. I don't know if we see what the number is going to be yet. We could probably see it on here, though. Oh, no, the number's not even out yet, so I don't know what the number is going to be in this one. I mean, pay for Ken Pom, by the way. You only have to pay like $30 a year for Ken Pom. Definitely worth it. You know, he's got North Carolina only 18 ranking spots higher. I shouldn't be showing this because you got to pay for it, but he has North Carolina winning that game by 3, so the line is actually going to be a lot lower than you think, so the public is going to be pouring in on North Carolina. I'm probably going to expect North Carolina to be maybe like a 4 to 5 point favorite there because the books have to skew that number towards North Carolina. And even at that, I think the public's just going to rush in on North Carolina because they're the ranked team. Ohio State hasn't done anything impressive so far. So the value side in that one is probably going to be the Ohio State side taking the points. Am I going to do it? No. I'm not going to play that game at all, but those are going to be my early thoughts on that game. All right. Back to the rest of today. We do have... what else do we have here? We have Wisconsin and Villanova is the one other power conference game today with 2 power conference teams on Fox at 8 p.m. This is a neutral site. Well, it's not really neutral. It's semi-home kind of. It's in Milwaukee. So Wisconsin is getting to play not that far from home here. Wisconsin is definitely going to be the favorite. The public's going to look at this and think that it looks probably a little bit tempting to take almost 5 points with Villanova. But the odds makers are telling you Wisconsin's the better team. If they're able to control the pace, that's not going to be good for Villanova because Wisconsin actually goes fast. the last few years. Villanova likes to play really, really slow. So I'd be leaning towards Wisconsin in this game. They just got embarrassed by Nebraska as well in their first Big Ten road game. I mean, I thought Wisconsin was going to be much more competitive in that game. Like, I thought Wisconsin was going to win that game, and things really fell apart in the second half of that game. I can't believe that game was that lopsided on the final score. That is not what Wisconsin really is. I expect them to be really angry, bounce back after that. Villanova coming off an easy win over Pitt. I mean, Pitt's not really that good. It looks like a good win on the scoreboard, though. So, again, I think the public is probably going to be looking towards Villanova and taking the points in this one, and I would disagree on that. I would look towards Wisconsin in this one. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's got 60% of the tickets as it stands right now, but 67% of the cash. They're up from 3.5 to 5. It looks like there are 4.5s out there. If you do want to lay it with Wisconsin, if I was going to play it, that is what I would do. I would lay it with Wisconsin. Southeast Louisiana, probably going to get up for a game against their in-state big brother, LSU. LSU off to a good start this season, but they've faced a pretty weak schedule. Although they're coming off probably their best win so far of the season, which was against SMU, so it's still not that impressive. But could be a little bit of a flat spot after that win. The little brother, Southeast Louisiana, they're going to show up for this one. They're also not going to be intimidated because they've already played Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State all on the road, and they actually came to within 10 of Georgia Tech, within 7 of Mississippi State. UNC Wilmington on the road, that's a pretty good team as well. They lost that game, but still, I'm not going to blame them for that. They're coming off probably one of their worst losses of the season to East Texas A&M, not a great team. Southeastern Louisiana lost that game at home. I'm assuming they were probably a favorite in that game, and I think maybe they were looking ahead to LSU in that one. So I think it is kind of a bounce-back spot for them here. So, yeah, I would lean to Southeastern Louisiana in this one, getting a bunch of points against LSU. You're getting 24 points, fairly low total of 144, so I would take the points in that one if I was going to play that game. Belmont and UC Irvine, actually one of the better games today. Both of these teams are pretty strong, small conference teams. Belmont having to go to the Pacific Coast, not going to be easy, man. They're out of Tennessee, and I think this is going to be the first time they have to travel that far west. They just had a bad game against Evansville, though, where they barely won. Belmont coming off 2 pretty bad performances, barely beating UIC and Evansville. Those 2 teams are not good. So in a way, I could see Belmont maybe bouncing back off of those bad performances, but having to play a late night game on the Pacific Coast, not exactly a spot where I would want to play Belmont, really, when it's something they're not used to doing. UC Irvine, still a pretty solid team. They're good at home. They're just staying at home, so they have a much easier travel spot here. They just beat Cal State Northridge, who is an okay team, but not a win that's going to have them overconfident or anything like that. So I still probably like UC Irvine in this one. They've actually flipped from a 2-point dog to a 2-point favorite. So it's more of a, not even just a pick the winner now, because 2 does mean something in basketball. But I would probably still lean towards laying it with UC Irvine. Also, when the public, if they get involved in this game, they're going to see an 11-1 Belmont team getting points. Looks very tempting to take that. So again, I would lean towards laying it for that reason too, because it looks misleading. Okay. And then we have, what else do we have here? Florida Atlantic also having to go to the Pacific Coast, I think for the first time this year, to play St. Mary's. Don't love that for Florida Atlantic. St. Mary's just lost to Boise. Boise, pretty tough team. Both of these teams play slow, man, so you kind of had a feeling, you had to have had a feeling that game was going to be close. St. Mary's took the loss. Now, on the one hand, they should bounce back because they were a home favorite in that game and they lost. On the other hand, that is still a tough game. So I could see it going both ways for St. Mary's. Going both ways. They're bye. Florida Atlantic, though, I mean, I don't love the fact that they're going to the Pacific Coast, I believe, for the first time this season. It's not going to be easy for them. So I would be leaning towards St. Mary's a little bit here. But do you really want to lay points with a team that slows the pace way down with a total of 142.5? I don't. They've also dropped a little bit from 14 to 13.5. So, I mean, if you forced me to, I would probably say to lay it, but I'm not going to do anything with that game. And then we do have a couple of other in-state, in-city rivalries here. San Diego playing UC San Diego, who's become the bigger brother in San Diego, besides San Diego State, of course. UC San Diego, they've come onto the scene and they've been really good since they moved up to Division I. They're coming off a pretty good win at Loyola Marymount, where they were an underdog in that game. I see San Diego stepping up their game for this one, man, because they are the little brother in San Diego. They're coming off a bounce-back win that ended a long loss streak for them. They beat Northern Arizona. Not an impressive win, really, but good that they ended a loss streak. I think they're going to show up for this game, so I would take the points with San Diego against UC San Diego in that one. The line is up to 15 on that. The total is in the mid-range at 158.5. And then we do have our boys, North Alabama, who took that loss. We got the win with Alabama A&M in that game. North Alabama was coming off that nice win at San Francisco, and they had way too much time off, and they have Loyola Marymount. They had Loyola Marymount next, and that's who they're playing today, having to go back to the Pacific Coast. The good thing for North Alabama is they've done it already. They went out to San Francisco, and they actually won. So they're familiar with this travel spot now at the very least. Still not going to be easy, but Loyola Marymount, I mean, they're coming off a loss where they were a favorite against UC San Diego, so I kind of expect them to be in bounce-back mode here as well. So I think both teams are going to show up for that one. So if that's the case, you probably got to lean towards Loyola Marymount because they are the better team. They're up from 9 to 10.5 there. I would lay it if I was going to play that one. And then we do have Morgan State at Cal. Morgan State's an East Coast team, not a very good one either. The good thing for them is they just beat Niagara. It was an easy win over a really bad Niagara team, and that ended a long loss streak for them, and that was their first Division I win of the season. So in a way, that gets the monkey off their back. But now they got to travel to the Pacific Coast to play a really late night game against Cal. Yeah, I think it's going to be bad. I like Cal in this one. Cal has been very good at home. They've been good against bad teams for the most part, and they're coming off a pretty bad performance against Northwestern State where they only won by 9, and they were looking like they might actually lose that game at some points in that game. They got away with the win, but when a good team like Cal escapes as a huge favorite, they almost lose the game and they escape, they're usually going to come with a much better effort because they don't want to let that happen again. So I would lay the points with Cal in that one. But it is a huge number, 26.5, but it is a big mismatch, too. Morgan State's really bad. And the travel spot sucks for them. And then we do have Washington at Seattle to finish this thing off. This is a Seattle rivalry. Of course, Seattle is the little brother here to Washington, who is also a Seattle school. Washington just blew out Southern Utah. This game's not really surrounded by any big games for them, though, so it's not exactly a bad spot for Washington. Seattle always gets up for this game, though. And Seattle's been pretty good this year. They just got by UC Davis in their last game, but they are having to travel back up to Washington from California, which isn't that great, of course. Washington, I believe, is just staying in Seattle for this. So, was this game in Salt Lake City? Hang on. No, it was not. It was in Washington. So the travel spot's better for Washington here. I still kind of like Seattle because I think the public is going to think this line is too short. University of Washington, oh my God, 8 points. That's not that much to lay. I'd still probably take it with Seattle, but the travel spot's not exactly that great for Seattle. They're having to travel back, so we'll see. But they seem to always get up for that one, though. All right. What's going on, Saab? You're on Oklahoma in the college playoffs? Well, we're going to go head-to-head on that one. So you're going to see my breakdown of that at the end of this show, and hopefully I can get this done before the Myrtle Beach Bowl starts here because I want to make sure my bowl entries are set up correctly. You like the T-Wolves, the Devils? I don't agree with the Devils either. T-Wolves, I probably agree with that one. I forget. I don't have a play on either of those. You want Abilene Christian? Yeah, I have no college basketball plays here. Abilene Christian is at BYU. Man, I mean, playing at BYU is always difficult for these teams that don't play a ton in high elevation, although at least for Abilene Christian, they do play in the WAC. So some of these teams are high elevation teams, so they're not like totally unused to it. But I don't think they've done it yet this year. They're coming up playing Arizona as well. Now they have to go from Arizona to BYU. I know they got blown out, but that type of thing can take its toll, man. So, yeah, I'm not going to be taking the points with Abilene Christian here. BYU is just staying at home, and they don't have this game surrounded by anything big. Yeah, I don't like it. I see no reason to take Abilene Christian there. I would probably lay the points if I was going to play the game. The only reason really is that it's a low total, I guess, 146, and the spread's 32. But BYU plays somewhat fast, so I don't really understand why that total is that low. Unless it's like BYU is just going to not care about the game at all. That is the danger if you lay the points here, is how much does BYU care about blowing this team out? They probably don't really care, right? Like, they could just show up, win by 25 or something, and just get out of there, you know what I mean? With an easy win and non-cover. So I'm staying away from that game completely, but I don't like the spot for Abilene Christian. Like, it would not surprise me if BYU runs them out of the gym, and even does so without that much effort. All right, we got NHL here. Big game to start it at 7 p.m., Carolina and Florida. Now, I think the main part of the handicap in this one really is the playoff revenge aspect of this, which is Florida eliminated Carolina from the playoffs last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. So you know Carolina, they've had this game circled since then, and that was the last time these two teams played. They have not played yet this year, believe it or not. So Carolina absolutely has this game circled. They're on a nice win streak here, but they just have momentum right now. Their last win was an easy win over Nashville. They're going to show up for this. I like Carolina in this game. I think they're the better team right now at this point as well. Florida, I mean, it's not exactly a horrible spot for them either. They just returned home. That was the bad spot when they returned home, and we lost on that one, I believe, with the Kings. Florida got that win anyway. I thought they were going to be looking ahead to this game, but they are in that second game back home now, where usually a team is now settled back in. They've done what they need to do. They can get ready for the game. Like, Florida's not going to overlook Carolina either. I lean to Carolina in the game, but it doesn't make my card. Carolina's already up from minus 120 to minus 130, which is pretty crazy that Carolina, is laying a price like that on the road against the back-to-back returning champs. The odds makers are definitely telling you who's the better team here, and that is Carolina. 54% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on Carolina. I do not disagree with that market read there. Carolina would be the play in that one. If I was going to play it, it would be money line at Carolina. Revenge is not the only, revenge is only a minor factor. It's not really the revenge. It's what actually happened in that game. If you look into the box score, I completely disagree with you on that game. I disagree with you adamantly on this game. The home advantage is nothing as well, because we're basing that off of 1 year of statistics, and every single home team last year was more than a touchdown favorite. Is Oklahoma a touchdown favorite here? No, they're not. So last year, you should not read into that, like the fact that last year every home team wanted a blowout. They all were supposed to win in blowouts. Like, they were all of them were big favorites. Indiana was just unbattle tested. I thought they were going to lose by margin against Notre Dame. That was a win. Actually, I played both of those 7-point favorites or whatever. I had plays on both of them, and they both won last year with Notre Dame over Indiana. And then I also, my bigger one was Ohio State against Tennessee. That also had the factor where Tennessee was having to play in a cold weather game, which, by the way, is not going to be the case here in Oklahoma today either. So that was just, everything about that spot for Tennessee was awful too, and they just got bombed in that game. And Ohio State was the best team in college football as well. Is Oklahoma the best team in college football? Hell no. And then the other two games were just mismatches. Like, the other two games were basically like the Oregon JMU game and the Ole Miss Tulane game this year. Those other games were whatever, like SMU, and then what was the other one? I don't even remember. I can't even remember what the other one. Oh, Texas and Clemson. Yeah, I mean, Texas was a double-digit favorite as well. SMU was a double-digit dog as well. Those SMU and Clemson just didn't even belong last year. So no. 1 year where every team was a big favorite, I would not read that much into that at all. Vancouver at the Islanders. Vancouver coming off a shutout win over the Rangers. They've had a couple of days off, and they're just staying in New York City, though, so the travel spot's not bad for them. Maybe they get a little bit overconfident, though, because they did just beat New Jersey and the Rangers. Maybe extra time off will hurt their momentum a little bit. I don't think that they're not going to show up, though, against an Islanders team that's been pretty good as well. Although the Islanders are obviously the better team here. The Islanders just went out to Detroit and took a loss, ending their win streak, finally, because the Islanders seem to just not lose to Tampa Bay ever. Now they're coming back home, only from a single-game road trip, though, with multiple days off. The days off should help them break that losing momentum, but Vancouver has an easier travel spot, just basically taking the subway from one place to the other. Interestingly, though, the odds makers are telling you the Islanders are not that much better, as they're not getting that much more than home ice here at minus 140. So it almost looks too easy to play the Islanders here, man. So I don't know what I would want to do with this game. This is a very tough game to handicap. I don't know. I mean, if you forced me to lean, like looking at how easy it looks to take the Islanders, I would almost probably lean towards Vancouver as the dog in that one, but I don't love it at all. Winnipeg at Colorado. You know Colorado's going to be a big favorite here. It's weird seeing Winnipeg being a giant underdog. They do have Hellebuck back, so in a way, I think Winnipeg is probably a little bit underrated right now because they were just losing a ton of games without him, but now that he's back, you should see improvement out of them. They're coming off an ugly loss where they got shut out against St. Louis. St. Louis got their playoff revenge in that one. I think Winnipeg might have been looking ahead, too. Maybe we should have given out a play on St. Louis in that one. Winnipeg, I expect more focus out of them coming into this game, though, against Colorado. Colorado, I think the price that they're laying is just too heavy, even though, yes, they are the best team in hockey. Colorado's coming off an easy win at Seattle, but they are still having to return home from Seattle. They're not returning home from a road trip, really. It was only a single game, but they are still returning home. They have 2 days off, which might actually hurt their winning momentum. It might kind of stall them out a little bit. And it is possible that Colorado overlooks Winnipeg because they do have Minnesota next, and Minnesota's been on fire. So if you're going to play this game, I would probably look towards puck lining it on Winnipeg here. You're going to get them at a huge underdog price. And I think they do have the ability to come within a goal of the Avalanche in this one. Minus 240 is the price there on that one. 92% of tickets, 99% of the cash on Colorado. Unlikely that that's accurate. The public is not going to be coming in on Winnipeg in that game, I'll tell you that. They don't really play hockey anyway to that extent. Mammoth, sneaky play. No, yeah, I don't see any reason why the Devils would be a good side here, really. Devils just won in a shootout at Vegas. That was a win for us on the show. I thought the Devils were going to show up big time to start the road trip. They had multiple days off. They were leaving home after an ugly loss. Also a win for us on the show with Vancouver. So my read on the Devils has been pretty good recently, man. You know it has been.
Don't mess with the Devil, buddy. We're number one. We beat anybody. We're the Devils. The Devils. Diablo! Dios mío! El Diablo!
All right. Devils, now they're coming up that big shootout win at Vegas. Pretty big upset win. I could see them being in a letdown mode here. They're having to travel into elevation now as well, into Utah. Don't like how it sets up for the Devils. Utah, they just are returning over from a road trip, though. So you're right. So, yeah, okay. You're right about that part of the read, yeah. Utah's returning home from a road trip, so I don't like the spot for them either. They've been on the road only since Sunday, though, so not exactly the longest road trip. It did take them all the way to Boston, though. Took them to the East Coast. So, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want to play a team in a return home spot like that either. A lot of times you do get distracted when you return home, so you can see why this game is a pass for me in this one. You know, I mean, the market read is saying New Jersey. It's because of the return home spot. Utah up for minus 127 to minus 135. 75% of tickets on them. 54% of the cash on Utah. Yeah, you know what? Fine. I mean, I think always, I talk about how the return home spot is actually worse than anything else. So, fine. New Jersey, very, very small lean for me to New Jersey in that one, but I really don't like it very much. But if you forced me, fine, I would agree with New Jersey in that one as an underdog. The travel from Vegas into Utah's, like that travel leg is not that long either, so there is that, but I don't love it at all by any means. This is obviously, you can see why this is a pass for me completely. Dallas at Anaheim. This is a big game. Dallas, one of the best teams in hockey, if not the best. Dallas is on a back-to-back, though. They just played in San Jose, so they are already in California, but they're having to travel down from San Jose to Anaheim with no time off. It's not going to be that easy, and it looks like, I mean, because Ottinger played last night, it looks like DeSmith is going to be in net this time. He's been fine, though. I mean, they've won his last couple of games, so they've won his last 4 games, 5 games, whatever. Actually, yeah, you have to go back to November 1st to find a game that they lost with no, wait, I missed one. November 22nd, they lost one with DeSmith. That's the last time they lost. So they've been good with him in net. It will probably be him in this one. Dallas is also a very good road team. They've been good either way, but 12-2-4 on the road, very strong. Anaheim, of course, we know is way better at home than on the road, though, 11-4 at home. For Anaheim, though, they're returning home from a road trip, so this is the worst of the road trip return spots out of the two because they've been on the road since December 9th, and they went to the East Coast as well, so they're having to travel cross-country. We did just fade them with Columbus. We got that win. Anaheim finishing their road trip. This is still not a good spot. I mean, whenever you return home from a road trip, again, the distractions come into play, especially, getting ready for holidays and whatever, although they're going to be home for a few games here. Home for the holiday, and then they go to L.A., which is just up the road. So they are actually going to be able to stay home around the holidays here pretty much. But still, return home spot. You got stuff to do at home. It could be a distraction. But the fact that it is Dallas, they're not really a team that you overlook, man. I know Anaheim has revenge against Columbus next. I don't think that really matters. So I worry about it still because I think they will still show up for a game against Dallas. The spot does set up better for Dallas, though, and Dallas is the better team, as the odds makers are telling you. Anaheim, I still don't think they're as good as their record indicates, so if I was going to play it, I would play Dallas in this one. Down from -115 to -112 on the money line, 64% of the cash on them, 55% of tickets on Anaheim. Yeah, lean Dallas in that one. Doesn't make my card, though. NBA, I do have one play in the NBA out of these games here. That's going to be one of my 2 plays today. Very small card today. First game up is Miami at my Boston Celtics. Miami, they're coming off an easy win over Brooklyn, but they're on a back-to-back. Miami played yesterday, so on the good hand for Miami, it was an easy win over a bad team. They ended a loss streak. The travel from New York to Boston is not that bad. So that was all good, but I mean, are they going to overlook the Celtics with the Knicks on deck? I'm not really so sure. I mean, the Celtics are kind of sneaky right now. Like, they're one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, and their record doesn't really look that good. So, but, I mean, I don't think a team's really going to overlook the Celtics, though. I mean, you kind of always get up to play the Boston Celtics because they've been really good the last couple of years. They're still the Celtics right now. They're still a winning team. But Miami's going to have to overcome the fact they did play yesterday. Celtics are going to have to overcome the fact they just lost to Detroit. They're staying at home with a bunch of days off, though, so I think the rest is a big component here. The Celtics have lost their last 2 games. They haven't won since December 7th. Now they have 3 days off. They haven't played since Monday, so even though that was a huge game against Detroit, they lost. I think the Celtics will show up here and try to split this homestand. I think the rest is going to help them just get off of that, end that losing momentum. So I would look towards the Celtics in this one. It also looks kind of weird that they're laying 6.5 points when their record is very similar to that of the Heat. And remember that the Heat have been without, they were without Adebayo and Hero for long periods of time. So the Heat are more intact right now, I believe. Let me see. Look at the injury report real quick here. Actually, my mistake. Hero is out, but he's supposed to be back today. I don't know what's going on with him, man. He missed the game against the Nets. I think he'll probably play, though. If he can play, he's going to play against the Celtics. So something to keep in mind there. But I would probably look towards the Celtics in that game if I was going to play it. The game that I'm going to play is this next one. even though we don't even know who's going to play in this game, but we're still going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers, which I wish I had the, actually, I might be able to bring it up, actually. Hang on, let me see. I'm going to try to bring it up here. Actually, maybe I'll do it if they win. How about that? I'll get it if they win. I'm gonna bring up the old Philadelphia, even though I don't like Philadelphia at all. I'm gonna bring up the old 70s, like, ABA sounding Philadelphia theme song, the 76ers theme song. Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia 76ers. Probably nobody knows what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna bring that up. It's unironically, it's a banger, dude. I'm gonna bring it up. If Philadelphia gets the job done for us, I'll do it. They're playing the Knicks here. We're gonna fade the Knicks. I mean, this is all about the spot. The Knicks, I mean, look at what the Knicks are coming off of, dude. The Knicks have not played at home since December 7th when they beat Orlando, and then they went to Toronto. They beat Orlando, by the way, big win. Orlando, they're probably going to be a playoff team. Up to Toronto, beat them. They're probably going to be a playoff team. Then they had to go to Vegas to play the NBA Cup. They beat Orlando. I think this was in Vegas, right? I think all these games are in Vegas. Yeah. So the Knicks, yeah, they beat Orlando in the semifinals, again beating Orlando. Stayed in Vegas. They won the NBA Cup. That was a win for us on the show, beating San Antonio. Then they also had to play yesterday in playoff revenge against the team that beat them last year, Indiana, who they hadn't played since then, even though I know Indiana's bad, and I know the Knicks barely escaped with a win there, but that's still a big win, man. When you beat the team that knocked you out of the playoffs last year, the Knicks got that win. And that was yesterday. Now they're traveling back home to New York. They got this Philadelphia team that's been just really kind of a mess this year, even though they are above 500. They got Miami next, then Minnesota, Cleveland, Atlanta. I mean, they might pay more attention to all the rest of those teams, man. They might not pay that much attention to the 76ers here. Coming off that run of games, and this is actually a return home spot where they've been away since December 9th. So they have not been at home since 10 days ago, and they're going to have to do stuff now that they're back at home, return home spot. Very, very bad spot, man. And I think a major letdown spot after all these wins that they've been pulling off. I don't like it at all. So we're going to go with the Sixers, even though we don't even know who's playing in this game. I just don't care. Let's take the points. Sixers, I mean, they've been off since Sunday, and they lost at Atlanta on Sunday. They did beat Indiana, but I don't think anybody's really going to care about that. Both teams beat Indiana. Philadelphia, they're the way more rested team here, man. I mean, yeah, that's going to be factored into the line. It's part of the reason why the Knicks are not a huge favorite, but you're still getting the Philadelphia side as an underdog here with all this rest, 4 days of rest, and having the rest come after a loss. You know, I talk about how that's a positive. And they don't have anything upcoming either. Like, they just have, all they have really is New York to focus on. They got Dallas next. Who cares? Big game here for the Sixers, dude. Now, the question is, now I know the Knicks are on a back-to-back, but a bunch of their players didn't play yesterday, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The Knicks did rest some of their guys yesterday for that game. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't play. Josh Hart didn't play. I don't know if Robinson played either in that game. He did not play either. So, yeah, the Knicks had a bunch of guys not play. So, yes, the Knicks are not going to be that unrested, but that was still a big win for them, man, to win in playoff revenge. And now all these guys are going to have to come back into the lineup here. I don't love it, dude. I really don't. Even if they are rested, it's still going to be that lineup shift where everybody has to come back and get used to playing again. I expect most of these guys are probably going to be back for this game. They're all supposed to be. Miles McBride, I guess, also didn't play in that game. I think all these guys are going to be back, if I were to guess, for this game. Brunson, I think, did play yesterday. And then you got to look at the 76ers side of it. Oubre is not going to play. He's been out for a while, though. I'm fine with that. And then we don't know if Embiid is going to play or not. I'm guessing that he will. He's a game-time decision with an illness. But if he can play, he's going to play against the Knicks. I mean, come on. And yes, I know we're fading. The Knicks are 13-1 at home. I know it's very difficult to fade that. But this spot is very, very juicy. The Knicks down to a 4-point favorite now, so you got to probably grab that number, I guess, while you can. I mean, it's possible the line does go back up, though, because if the public's looking to play some games tonight, might be one of the games that they're going to be looking at. 70% of the tickets are on the Knicks, 87% of the cash on the Sixers. So the money is on the Sixers side. That's where we're going. We're going with the Philadelphia 76ers for my NBA play of the day. San Antonio is at Atlanta. San Antonio, they're on a back-to-back. They beat us yesterday covering against Washington. Now they're on a back-to-back with travel, having to travel to Atlanta. I don't exactly love the spot here, man. Playing a third game in 4 days, which, by the way, the Knicks also are. San Antonio just had that huge run of games, and I thought their bad spot would be yesterday in what was a return home spot for them. They still got it done against a very bad Washington team. They'll probably try to show up for Atlanta because Atlanta's been okay, but still Atlanta's almost at 500. A lot of it's because Trae Young has missed a lot of time this year, though. He's back right now, though. And Atlanta's coming off they played yesterday, too, so they're also on a back-to-back. They're traveling from Charlotte. It's a little bit of an easier travel spot for them, though, I would say. And they're coming off a bad loss at Charlotte. I mean, that's a pretty ugly loss they took yesterday. I mean, maybe they were looking ahead to this one to some extent. They had time off, and they were coming off a win over Philly in the game before that. So I lean towards Atlanta in this one. The Spurs are definitely going to be a public side. They're up from 2 to 2.5. It almost looks too easy to lay the points with the Spurs. With Wemby back, the Spurs have the way better record. 82% of tickets, 84% of the cash on them. Yeah, again, it almost looks like a trap in that game. So I would be looking towards the Hawks plus the points there. Not a play or anything, but just a lean in that one. Yeah, not much going on in the injury report except Porzingis is out for the next, the next 10 more days with an illness. Man, I miss him as a Celtic fan, but he just could not stay healthy, man. If I was going to play another NBA game, it would be this game, Chicago at Cleveland. This is a zigzag spot where Chicago just beat Cleveland in Chicago by 16 points. Cleveland, I assume, was a favorite in that game, a small road favorite in that game. Chicago got the job done. Now they're going to Cleveland in a zigzag, and I talk about the zigzag, how when the first result is a bit of an outlier like that, the team on the wrong end of the outlier usually makes adjustments and they bounce back from it. Whereas if you're Chicago in this case, you played a great game. So, what do you have to fix? You have nothing to fix coming into this game. So I think Cleveland's going to show up here. I know Cleveland's record is really ugly right now, but they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. You know what they're doing. They're not focused on the regular season. Their coach explicitly said they focused too hard on the regular season last year. So they're going to be focused on this game. Donovan Mitchell, I was just making sure he played in the last game. He did. Because if you look at the injury report, he's a question mark right now, but I expect that he's going to play. Game time decision with an illness. I think he's going to play. Mobley is still out. That's been the case for a while now, though, I think. And Merrill, same thing. And Strus, I think they've all been out for a while. So for Cleveland, I expect Mitchell will play. I think that you're seeing that in the line anyway. Chicago has a bunch of guys listed on the injury report, too. I'm just not that familiar with Chicago's personnel. I apologize, but I think it's a zigzag spot. I think Cleveland is probably the right side here. I would lay it. Cleveland down from 8.5 to 7.5, 78% of the cash on them, 63% of the tickets are on the Bulls. So the Bulls are actually kind of a public dog in this game, which seems crazy. The real money looks like it's on the Cavs. If this might even drop to 7, making it even better because the 7's a slightly key number in basketball. And then we have OKC at Minnesota. Now, this is still playoff revenge for Minnesota. Minnesota lost to Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals last year. Minnesota still has not beaten them. They played once this year, and Oklahoma City won, of course. So Minnesota's still looking for playoff revenge here. Now, for Oklahoma City, it's just not really that bad of a spot, except that they did play yesterday. They won and covered anyway yesterday. This Oklahoma City team, man, they're hard to beat. At home, though, especially, and this game's not at home. Yes, they played yesterday. Yeah, they're having to travel to Minnesota. They got the win and cover yesterday against a bad Clipper team. They're not really in a letdown spot, though, in my opinion, or anything like that. After the bad spot was yesterday, and they still covered. Minnesota, they are coming off an ugly home loss to Memphis 2 days ago. Bad loss for them. Definitely Minnesota was a favorite there. Now, my knock against Minnesota remains the same, though. Minnesota, they only have 2 wins against teams with winning records, I believe, this entire season. Golden State doesn't have a winning record right now. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, right. So their only 2 wins against winning teams this entire year are against Boston and San Antonio. Minnesota does not have any other wins against winning teams. Yes, those both came at home. They were a favorite against Boston, though, and I think Wemba was not in the lineup against San Antonio in that one. So Minnesota, I believe, was probably a favorite in this one, too. Wemby was not playing in that game, so... Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, they have not shown the ability to do well stepping up in class, man. So I do worry about Minnesota. Even though, yeah, they are kind of in a bounce back spot here. Yes, they're an underdog here, so you don't need them to win the game outright, but I'm staying away from it. I mean, if you forced me to lean, I probably would agree with leaning to the T-Wolves here, but I'm not going to do it. 75% of the tickets, 61% of the cash on the Thunder, 7.5-point favorite here. Yeah, I'm staying away from that one. But yeah, of course, Minnesota can cover and not win as well. And then we got college football starting in about an hour, starting with the Myrtle Beach Bowl between 2 conference winners, Kennesaw State and Western Michigan. Kennesaw State won the CUSA. Western Michigan won the MAC. So they get a little bit of I think they both will consider this to be a little bit of a celebration. They get to go to a warm weather location. They get to go to a party town. Now, the question is, are either one of these teams going to be distracted by the fact that it's a party city? I kind of don't think so, because I think both teams are happy about where they are. They're going to consider this to be a decent reward. Now, for Kennesaw State, I think they're absolutely going to show up, because I think this is their first bowl appearance ever. Like, they're really new to FBS, so this is a huge deal for Kennesaw, man. They get a shot at their first bowl win. I know it didn't work out for Missouri State. It did for Delaware, although Delaware didn't exactly play as well as the final score looks, so I have some hesitations about it. I would lean slightly towards taking the points with Kennesaw in this one, but I have some issues with it. Kennesaw, it's going to be easier for their crowd to show up as well, because they're in Georgia. So going up to South Carolina, it'll be easier for their crowd to show up. Western Michigan, coming from further away, and a cold weather team like Western Michigan might be more distracted by being in warm weather. And Western Michigan, they go to bowls more often than Kennesaw does. I think Western Michigan actually won a bowl last year. They at least were in a bowl last year. But this is the first time they've won the MAC, so yeah, they get a nice little reward here. The first time they won the MAC in a while, at the very least, maybe the first time ever. So yeah, I mean, they'll be happy about it. They get an ESPN, isolated football game here at 11 a.m. Both teams should be excited here. If you look at the opt-outs, I'm looking at the other game here, there's not a whole lot going on. Kennesaw has one of their cornerbacks hitting the transfer portal. Western Michigan has one of their defensive ends. But other than that, the teams are pretty much intact here. So the coaches are there. The teams basically want to be here. So I expect, for me, it looks like both teams are going to show up. So it's a pretty clean handicap as far as that's concerned. Western Michigan dropped from 4 to 3.5. They've gone back up, actually. They were 3 this morning, so some late money is coming in on Western Michigan, it looks like right now. 54% of the cash on them, 51% of tickets on Kennesaw. I kind of disagree, though. I would look towards taking the points. Now, it's a low total. It's down to 46.5. Money has come in on the under a little bit. I don't disagree with that either, because Western Michigan, they just tend to play a lot of low-scoring games, man. They have a good defense, and their offense is not very good. And they don't throw the ball that well either. So Western Michigan, they do play a lot of unders. Kennesaw State, not that prolific offensively really either. So wouldn't really disagree with an under, although you've lost some value. If you can get 47 and get it under that, that is one of the key numbers. So that's not as bad. And Western Michigan, I mean, you could argue they're a little bit correlated to the under, though, because they do really play that style of game. They have the better defense here, so there is that. But, again, they're still the better defense laying points, and I think Kennesaw is going to be absolutely motivated here to try to get their first bowl win. So I'm not going to do it, but I would lean towards Kennesaw plus the points. Don't really have a whole lot else to say about that one. But, yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Yeah, that one's not one that I'm excited about really to jump in and get involved. I'm being really selective with the bowls here. Last year, it kind of was as well. I think I won on the bowls last year, although I think I only had 4 or 5 of them. The playoff games are actually a little bit better. I was good in the playoffs last year, except for Texas not covering against Ohio State, which still pisses me off, where they were knocking on the door to tie the game. We needed them to cover a 7-point spread, I think, and they were down exactly 7, knocking on the door to tie the game, and they sixed it the other way. I was so pissed about that. Anyway, next game up, we have the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, which is in Tampa Bay, which is in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium, Raymond James. The Gasparilla references some historical pirate reference, whatever it is, the pirate ship that's there. Gasparilla, I think, was a pirate. I have no idea. This is Memphis and NC State. Now, my first reaction to this game was Memphis is not going to be that happy to be here because Memphis, I mean, they were on the verge of potentially getting into the American Championship and then potentially even getting a playoff berth, but their hopes were dashed a while ago. Like, I think once they lost to UAB, I mean, sure, I guess that was only their first loss, but then when they lost to Tulane, it was definitely over. And yeah, they did not finish the season strong, so I actually don't like that. Like, sometimes I will say that a team will bounce back because they have a lot of time off, and it can kind of just disrupt that losing momentum when you have a lot of time off. But when a team just wasn't playing well down the stretch, it makes it look like they also don't want to be here. For a team like Memphis, it looks like once their season was over, they just packed it in. You know what I mean? So I don't like that because they might not be that excited to play in this bowl. Although maybe they will. So the one caveat that I will throw out there is they get to play an ACC team here. So maybe they will be excited for that just because they don't get to play some no-name team here. You know what I mean? They get to play NC State. So that's a decent game for them in that regard. So maybe they will put aside all that crap. Maybe they will bounce back and play well in this game. For NC State, I kind of thought that they would want to be here because they only had an okay season, 7-5, and they lost their bowl last year to East Carolina, and that was ugly. East Carolina, I mean, they step up their game against their in-state big brother, NC State. NC State lost that bowl last year. It was ugly. NC State did not cover for us in the revenge spot against East Carolina. They did win to start the season. They finished the season actually looking like they did want to play. Like, after they became bowl eligible, they blew out North Carolina. But, of course, for NC State, you know, you're going to get up for North Carolina. It's a big rivalry game. So that was big for them. So now coming into this game, you know, will the extra time off disrupt their momentum a little bit? Maybe. Like, do they really care about playing Memphis? I don't know. That's the question. Like, does NC State really get up for a game against Memphis? I don't know. Maybe NC State remembers last year getting embarrassed. A lot of moving parts in this game. And then you got to look at the opt-outs, which makes this game even crazier because Silverfield, Memphis' coach, he's gone. He took the job at Arkansas, so he's not coaching. So then you have to try to gauge that because now you have an interim coach situation. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes the team likes the interim coach and they play hard for him. And sometimes they don't. So you have to try to gauge, will they play hard? Now, if you look at the opt-outs, though, Memphis' players are all playing here. Like, they only have injuries as far as their players are concerned. So aside from the head coach, their guys are going to be here. So that kind of indicates to me that their players actually want to show up and play here, whereas NC State has more opt-outs. And however, that's why the line is dropped. Like, NC State was going to be a 5.5-point favorite here. Now they're 3.5, and that is because some of their players have opted out, especially Hollywood Smothers, one of the best names, man. He is not going to play. He's the top running back for NC State. So he's one of their best offensive players. They're still going to have C.J. Bailey, I'm pretty sure, their quarterback for this one, though. But he has, he has opted out of this game, as well as they got their tight end, cornerback, left tackle, defensive tackle. So they do have some guys opting out here, man, which does make it look like Memphis is the more intact team here. Again, that's being factored into the line move. That's why the line moved. But what do we do with the game at that point? This is a really, really difficult one for me to handicap, man. The money is saying Memphis to some extent. 53% of tickets, 59% of the cash. This is going to be in the afternoon on ESPN. So ESPN gets these bowl games today. I mean, the money is saying Memphis. I know I disagreed with the money a little bit. I like Kennesaw plus the points in their game. I just see them being a little bit more motivated. This game is way harder for me to read because my initial instinct was NC State wants to be here. Memphis is extremely disappointed, but now it looks like that might not be the case. Very, very difficult game to handicap in that one. So, I mean, slight lean with the market, I guess, for now towards Memphis. But yeah, I can't get involved in that. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to jump in on this playoff game. Alabama playoffs. What playoffs? They're starting now?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
Now, you know that I do have Alabama in my playoff bracket, which you guys saw. I don't know if I'm going to change my bracket at all. I got to maybe fine-tune it before the playoffs start, but it's probably not going to change that much. Where I did look, though, and by the way, more people are picking Ohio State now to win the whole thing than Georgia, but Indiana is still that, like, under-the-radar team that people aren't really picking. So people are actually looking like they're thinking Ohio State will beat Indiana in a rematch. So I think I'm good with my pick of Indiana to win the whole thing, man. We'll see if they can do it. But at least with Ohio State, they do have a really young and experienced quarterback. So, but we also do with Alabama. I get it. I know Oklahoma has the more experienced quarterback here. We're going to be on Alabama anyway. And yes, I know, again, Alabama with Simpson, he's a freshman, but neither one of these quarterbacks has played in a game like this, man. Mateer for Oklahoma, he's a junior, but he played basically one season in college football prior to this year, and it was at Washington State. So they play a pretty weak schedule over at Washington State. Now he's faced the SEC. So basically you're looking at two quarterbacks that both have one season under their belt against the SEC. And really, I think Simpson was the one who looked better out of the two. Mateer has not looked good since he got injured, so I don't really trust Mateer here. I don't necessarily trust either offense. Both defenses are really good, so there is that. Oklahoma probably has the slightly better defense, although I think Alabama has the better offense out of the two. Alabama, yeah, they're a little bit one-dimensional. They throw the ball more often than anything else. I do get that. So for those reasons, I do like the under in this game as well. You're getting the key number of 41 on this. It's a low total. 62% of tickets, 69% of the cash on the over, but I could only see playing the under here with a lot of kind of offensive question marks on both sides. And both teams are better on defense than offense, so that's what I'll say. But I think Alabama having the better offense of the two does tip the scales in favor of Alabama. The odds makers are telling you Alabama's the better team because this game's in Norman, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's only a 1-point favorite after they were a 1-point dog. You can get 1.5 out there right now in Alabama. Yeah, it looks like Alabama maybe a slightly public side, 57% of tickets and cash, but it's nothing that I'm really weighing that heavily. We'll see what the market looks like when the game goes off, but it doesn't look like either team's going to be seriously public or anything like that. Now, a lot of this is going to be looking at the previous matchup between these two, but a lot of it is also how the situation sets up. I like Alabama for a lot of different reasons in this game. Yes, Saab brought up that every home team in this round of the playoffs won last year, but as I pointed out, every one of those home teams was a 7-point favorite or greater in those games. They were pretty much all mismatches in one way or another, so that is not the case here with these first two playoff games. These are much more competitive games, so I think at least one of these home teams I think is going to go down in these two games, and we'll see which one it's going to be. But I do like Alabama here. I think they're the better team. I've had them, like the power ratings guys have had them as the better team basically all season, except for after they lost to Florida State. But since then, they've been impressive. And yes, one of their losses was to Oklahoma, but that's part of this huge handicap. It's not revenge. Revenge is not going to be a thing here, right? Like both teams are going to show up for this. We all know this. It's not a revenge thing. It's a what actually happened in this game thing. And this game was extremely misleading, dude. Alabama, they lost the game at home. They were probably I would guess, what were they? Like close to a touchdown favorite in this game, probably. Alabama was. And they lost the game outright. So, for one thing, it's about making adjustments, right? So, Alabama, they know that they have some things to fix after that game, so they can make the adjustments because they got upset at home by this team, man. So, that was a bit of an outlier situation. So, I do think this is kind of a zigzag spot in that Alabama's the team that can make the adjustments because they fell on the wrong side of this outlier result. Whereas if you're Oklahoma, you don't really have a whole lot to change because you won the game as an underdog. But if you look at what happened in this game, Alabama was in a hole right from the outset because of an 87-yard pick six. Alabama was about to take the lead in the first quarter after they were down 3-0, and instead it goes 6 the other way, and they're down 10-0. And even though, yeah, they recovered, they actually took the lead, and they lost on a late field goal. Still, that pick six swung the game. But look at what happened in this game statistically. Alabama dominated this game. They had almost 200 more yards than Oklahoma, 406 to 212, 23 to 12 in first downs, almost double the first downs. Time of possession, they won by 9 minutes. And the reason they lost was 3 turnovers, like mistakes, and that can definitely be cleaned up. That's, a kind of a discipline thing, a mental thing. You can definitely clean that thing up. So Alabama, very, very misleading result there. Alabama was clearly the better team in this game, even though I know it was at home. But, yeah, the very, very, very misleading final result in this one. So that's something to keep in mind here. Now, for Alabama, they also looked horrible in the SEC championship, and I actually like that coming into this game. Oh, and by the way, I should point out that, Alabama was not able to run the ball particularly well in that game, but neither team ran the ball well in that game against Oklahoma. So if you dig into that game, Alabama actually still had more rushing yards than Oklahoma did in that game. So something to keep in mind there that Alabama, like the only reason why it looked like maybe they didn't have a better rushing game than Oklahoma did was that Alabama had a lot of minus sack yardage in that game because, Oklahoma's defense is good, and we know that. But Alabama, I think they're going to be a lot better at running the football here, even though they're not great at running the football. But they're also getting Jam Miller back, who is their best running back. I don't believe he played in the SEC championship, so he's going to be back. I'm not sure if he played in that Oklahoma game either, so that'll be a boost for Alabama's rushing attack. But also, Simpson was the better quarterback against Mateer in that game. I know they were losing the games, that was part of it, but he outthrew Mateer in that game by like over 100 yards. So Alabama was the better team in that game in a lot of different respects. Now, as I was about to say, I like that Alabama lost to Georgia and played more recently. So Alabama played on December 6th, so they've had a week off, but I don't think that's not too much time off, you know what I mean? But they've had basically over a week off, so that's enough time to fix whatever went wrong in that game against Georgia, you know what I mean? And I actually like that Alabama looked really bad in that game against Georgia because people aren't going to want them after they just saw them lose 28-7 to Georgia, and they lost to Oklahoma the last time they really had any game that was of any sort of magnitude, except, I know they beat Auburn in a rivalry game. We lost on that one. I think Auburn should have covered. That's beside the point here, though. Alabama, they looked so bad in that game, and again, I like that because that's a data point that's going to mislead people in the other direction, you know what I mean? Alabama didn't need to win the game. They were going to be in the playoff anyway. Sure, they would have had a better playoff position if they had won the game, but that makes them look way worse than they are. Now they have time off to fix whatever went wrong in that game, and I believe, again, they were without Miller in that game, so their offense, they couldn't run the football at all in that game against Georgia, but Miller, I believe he's going to be back in this game, and he did play in those other two games prior to that, so I think he'll be back, and I don't think he was there for this Oklahoma game either, but he's going to be there for this one, even though I do talk about how running backs are plug and play in college. For Oklahoma, I do not like the spot for Oklahoma. I mean, look at how Oklahoma finished. They haven't played since November 29th, so they've been off for almost a month, and I think that's just way too much time off. And they finished the season beating Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, who were all ranked at the time, and then LSU in their final home game on Senior Day, which is still a huge win, even though LSU is not good this year. It's a big name still. So Oklahoma finished the season with 4 straight wins. I don't like that at all, dude. Having that much time off, it can be really disruptive to your momentum. So I actually like that Alabama played in the SEC title game and looked really bad in it, because I think that's going to give you maybe even a little bit of value on the Alabama side. But either way, you're just asking who's going to win the game pretty much here. I say it's going to be Alabama. The weather shouldn't be a concern here. Alabama, more of a warm weather team, but we're going to be fine here. It's supposed to be in the 50s here and sunny, so it's not going to be that cold. It'll be fine. I mean, guys, they can put some long sleeves on if they want to, whatever. 50s is very nice weather, man. I mean, come on. It'll be fine for those guys. So it's not going to be a concern weather-wise here. I like Alabama. that's what we're going to do. That is the way that I'm doing it, man. That is the last play here. And they're listed here. They list the opt-outs here, but nobody's opting out of a playoff game. It's just the injury concerns here. But, of course, again, I know Miller is listed here, whatever. I'm pretty sure Miller is going to play, although Oklahoma's getting some of their guys back as well, but both teams are. So, basically, if you look at this list, any of these guys, if they're able to play, they're going to play in the playoffs. So, again, the opt-out thing doesn't really matter here. So, yeah, we're going with Alabama on that one, and that is going to do it for me for today, man. Once again, the plays today are the Philadelphia 76ers plus the points and Alabama in the college football playoff. That's going to do it. Zach, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. One of your friends in OU game. I do not like that he thinks that they're going to lose. I don't like that because I like to be as contrarian as possible, but I can't be contrarian against everybody. So I just like it for Alabama. It's on my card for all the reasons I just stated. Similar to what I did last night, even though we did lose and we deserved to lose on Seattle. They did not deserve to win that game. They got massively outplayed in the game. Yeah, but still, this is a handicapping angle that works. Like that last matchup between the two teams looked like it went one way, but if you look at the box score tells the complete opposite tale of the game. That's what's going on in this one. That's what we're going to do. The team that lost can make the adjustments as well, so that's what we're doing. Thank you, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I got some time to get my bowl stuff sorted out as well. Here we go. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. You can subscribe to me on Twitter now. Yeah, follow me everywhere. Subscribe to the show here, of course, and then you'll know when I'm going to be live, which probably will be tonight for the college basketball board tomorrow. Friday nights have started, unless it's like a really small card, but I doubt it because it's Saturday. It's always going to be big from now on, so probably I'll be back tonight for that. I kind of just looked at it already, and it looks like it's big, right? So, yeah, subscribe, you get the notification for that when I come back and get no sleep. Then we got, we're on audio as well, Apple and Spotify. You can or give me a good review, I should say, and listen over there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so you can check that out. We got, what else do we have? The Loser Cast is out there as well, which I was not on the show last night. Thursday night's not going to work for me. Like, most of the normal hosts were not even there on that one, so it's going to be a wild show, man. But, yeah, check out Losercast. We're doing once or twice a week now on that show. It's the new comedy panel podcast that we're doing. The Giants podcast that I'm on should start at some point with me and Ben Weir, the G-Spot. I don't know if he has a YouTube set up for it or not as well, but I'll put these all in my link tree too. I haven't updated my link tree, but my link tree is in the show notes and it's on my Twitter, so I'll update that. Patreon.com/LearnToToad, and you can give me some support as well and get some bonus Uke stuff there as well. Got to figure out what else to give to Patreons and to Twitter subscribers. So that's going to do it for now. Have a good day, everybody. Let's hope we get another winning day because it's tough to do when you only have 2 plays. So 1-1 is basically going to give you a loss. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But we'll see. The streak may end today, but that's just the way that it is. It's a small board. Peace out for now.